Hey, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. How's everybody doing today? We've been gone for a little while, and when we came back, I'm like, got to have somebody who's really good and really funny and will allow me to just sit here and let him do what he does.
And dependable.
Exactly.
And
John Bailey is our guest tonight. The epic voice guy.
That's just Epic Voice Guy. I used to have the Epic Voice Guy. People thought it was the Pick Voice Guy. So THEE, the Epic.
Gotcha.
I was like, people still say the? Like, thanks, Shakespeare.
See what I mean?
Get your brand name right.
Right. If you got questions for John or if you got tech questions for George and I, put them in the chat room depending on where you might actually be, whether you're on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. You know, we can do it on LinkedIn now. I think
we can?
Yeah, it's now allowing us 3 streams. We can go on LinkedIn.
Whoa.
We haven't done that yet, but next time we will.
Raven, carrier pigeon, fax machine,
smoke signals.
Exactly.
All those things.
All modern day technology.
Are you ready? You ready, George?
I'm ready.
You ready, John?
I was born ready.
All right. It's time for VoiceOver Body Shop right now. It's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. Brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the makers of Source Connect. VoiceOver Heroes, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website doesn't have to be a pain in the butt. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And World Voices, the industry association of freelance voice talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George. Hello there. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VO BS. Most definitely tonight.
Putting the BS in VOBS.
That's right. Got to get you to do more liners while you're here. Anyway.
I don't do drugs, so I'm not getting any lines.
Yes.
Oh, liners.
Oh, liners.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. John Bailey, epic voice guy. See, I took out the "the."
There you go. See?
It was already edited out already.
There you go.
I on social media as an actor, voice actor, content creator, social influencer, and stand-up comedian. With such vocal talent, he has taken Hollywood by storm. In other words, you got to have the talent if you come into town, and you definitely got the talent. So welcome back to VoiceOver Body Shop.
It's nice to be here in person again.
It's nice to be anywhere in person, to tell you the truth. So, I mean, how long has it been since you've been on? I think we had you on once during the pandemic, or
sounds like it's been like a year or something.
Yeah. Well, we have you on once a year because
right after Groundhog Day.
Right, and this is the day. So anyway,
Bailey Day.
Yeah. So,
right next to International Women's Day.
Yes. Now the thing is, and we'll lead off with this, and we'll just roll away from it.
I love that neither one of them knew it was my birthday like 2 days ago.
Happy birthday.
It's too late. Too late. Nobody even knew. I thought he would leave that. So it was your birthday now.
Okay.
3-3.
Okay.
3-3.
Anyway.
Mine's today.
Happy birthday.
Hey, it's Jeff Holman's birthday. How do you like
Well, it
that?
wasn't my
Birthday,
birthday,
Jeff.
but it got
Happy birthday to you,
overshadowed.
sir.
Happy birthday.
Oh
You
boy,
guys are all Pisces.
I don't know. Pisces or what?
it's kind of fishy.
Pisces or what?
I'm sorry.
Pisces is
Oh.
a fish.
Yeah.
Because my kids won too.
I did
That's
not
why I
smell
know that.
Okay. Anyhow, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
There seems to be a little less of you than the last time you were here.
No, I got this suit. We got a lot of clothes on today.
I mean, you look great.
Oh, you mean the weight?
Yeah.
It's a little less.
How much did you lose?
Total, I lost 150 from heaviest to thinnest, but I bumped back up a little bit, but still kept off the most of it.
That's outstanding.
Still working on
That's
getting that.
that's how you keep yourself healthy. And
I'm aiming for 163. I figured that's a
160.
I
would kill to be
doc-
160.
The doctor says that I'm supposed to weigh between 150 and 175. Right in the middle is 163, so that's the goal. But I'm lingering around the 200 mark right now. So
all right.
still got a ways to go.
All right. So if we were on a seesaw, we'd be balanced.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
I just wear more Spanx than you.
Is this your booth outfit? Because that's a lot of poly right now.
I do content in this. I go to red carpets with my beautiful girlfriend Hunter over there. In this outfit, this is like it's half casual. I got the purple Converse.
Sweet.
Thank you, the Mad Brand
The
Company, and my
Converse
girlfriend
looks-
for the amazing custom colored hat. You can get this epic hat for code Epic 20 on the Mad Brand Co.
The Mad
and
Brand?
I went to Mad Brand.
Explain.
Oh, thank you for that.
And then this stuff, it's a wrap in Burbank. It's got like
Oh yeah,
left over
thrift
from some
store
prom.
prices
Yeah, look-
from some shoot
Right.
film or TV something.
right.
It was like really cool to get all this stuff for cheap.
Yeah.
all the reasons
Yeah,
to be in Hollywood.
I know you're making us look like total snobs.
Well, I
just
looked
pulled the-
like kind
I
of comic
picked
book
the
casual. last
oldest
time I was
shirt from my closet,
and I wanted
possible.
to look better than you guys. So.
You succeeded.
It was my birthday, so I
Yeah.
decided to put my birthday suit on.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when we first had you on, actually, when George and I first started doing the show from here, as opposed to Buffalo and Santa Monica.
Yeah, back when it was West Coast Body Shop, right?
Yeah.
East-West
East-West
Body-
Body
East-West
That's
Body
right.
Shop. And you were talking about you wanted to come out to Hollywood,
Mhm.
and then you seemed to be like commuting back and forth for a while, and then you made the big leap forward, or if you were in China, the great leap forward. And you're here and you've had a lot of success. It's been it's been very impressive to watch what you've done since you came here. And you're a great model for a lot of other people that are like, should I come to Hollywood? But you got to have the talent. And this guy has the talent.
You also have to have the drive to,
And that was the other
you have to
thing.
grind and grind and
Yeah.
grind. Most people just don't have that. They just
Right.
don't want to. They'll sit there and they'll stick their hands and they'll sit on them and they're like, it'll all come to me now, you know. I transitioned here instead of just dropping everything and going for multiple reasons, some of them personal, but
Smart.
overall I felt it was better to kind of get a feel for the land, try to see who I could make
Yeah.
contact with to see like how does it. I've talked to Rob Paulson about like what areas are the most affordable to live in, how much does it cost per year
Not
to
his
live
neighborhood.
here. No, not his neighborhood. Well, he had thrown out this a ginormous number, like he's like it easily you have to gross $250,000 to live comfortably in LA. And I was like, that seems ridiculous considering I used to make 25, 27 grand a year in my old job.
Right.
And he's not wrong to live comfortably with a family the size that I have. But most people are using two incomes.
Yeah.
And at the time, I only had the one. And now I've actually got some help, so it's a little bit easier.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had to kind of see where the most affordable places were. If it was actually going to be worth the transition here, would I be busy enough doing things to make it worth coming? And my agent, this is when I was very new to the agency. So I mean, nothing negative about my agency. I freaking love them. They've helped me achieve so much. So I'm extremely eternally grateful to them. But when I first signed with them, I'd been with them for a minute, but I was remote talent and I didn't have a lot of that.
Right.
And they had said, which kind of sounded like a Hollywood thing, like, oh, if you lived here, you'd book more. And I was like, this kind of sounds like a cop out a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, I was doing very badly or mediocre at best with them at the beginning. And I kind of figured that might have to come to pay your dues, or, you're the new guy on the pole. You don't get submitted with everything when they have guys that are just, they're booking people.
Right.
But then I moved here and I was like, okay, let's just see if that's accurate. And sure enough, as soon as I got here, like it was booking after booking. And it's got to where it was, I have vocal stress right now because I'm booking so many things close together, which is a good problem to have, but also you don't want to overdo it either.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should like, okay, well, I'm not going to sacrifice my instrument, which it would be long-term work for a few extra bookings here. So
Right.
usually I found when you get to a certain point, they'll work with you and they're like,
Right.
oh, well, if you can't do that, we don't want you to blow your voice out. We'll just put it off a day or two, or we'll reschedule for next week. They're very kind and considerate about it. But they wouldn't have been back in the day. Like when you were a rookie, like you got 50 other guys that can do it better than you.
Right.
So you have to kind of build up that John can do it. He can do it fast. He can do it right.
And how many years has that been now?
It's been
Since you went full in?
15 years since I booked my very first job.
Yeah.
It's been probably 11 or 12 of that I've been full-time, because I kind of jumped in a little early. And
Right.
And then you made the move to LA about 5?
I didn't make the choice to go. I did not make the choice to go full-time by choice.
Okay.
That was because the economy crashed and the company I worked for went bankrupt, and I didn't have another option. That happened to a lot of folks.
Plan B was voice.
So it was like, well, I had only been auditioning when I wasn't at work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, between 4 and midnight, I can't do anything. So,
Right.
and what little bit I did audition for, you had to be available during the day hours to, and my cutoff time was like 4:00. So that kind of limited me on how much I could do. So I was still booking like 1 to 3 jobs. I was like, this must be horrible. How can you make a career out of this?
Right.
And then the engineer who sold me the microphone I still use now, the one that you had told me how to
Change
replace the tube.
tube. Yeah.
Yeah. He had said, dude, there's been people that have been with us for 5 years and never booked a single job. And
That
then
sounds
something
familiar.
that my girlfriend said earlier today about, people claim well, it seems to be important how much experience you have, like how many years you've been doing this job, but you could be crappy at a job and be doing it 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So there's people that had not booked a single job. That could be, I've been a voice actor for 5 years. That doesn't mean they're good.
Right. They're living on mac and cheese and ramen.
Yeah.
noodles.
And they're probably still not quit their day job, which is my number one recommendation when I coach. Don't quit your day job. This is not something you can dive in full time. Like, I'm quitting my job today and I'm going to be a full-time voice actor by tomorrow. No, you won't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, don't start in debt.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I learned that one in the life insurance business. Don't start in debt.
Mm.
Really, really tough.
Mhm.
So what type of work did you start booking, and what did you do to maintain doing that?
Well, I was told by somebody that I will not out publicly because they were very big in this business. But somebody had told me a long, long time ago, back in the do you remember Zurich, Rick Party?
course.
Yeah,
And
Florida.
his
yeah.
original
yeah.
website.
Yeah.
But that was the site that I first that's the first online voiceover site back in the day. And somebody in the forums on there, they were like, "Oh, post your demos here for critique." I was brand new. I was very young, and I did.
VoiceOver Universe.
Yeah,
Is that right?
voiceoveruniverse.com.
Yeah.
Which is still
And
around.
Yeah,
Facebook.
and I had it's transposed to a site now instead of being its own website.
Yeah.
But I had posted up, just impressions of characters that other people had done, not knowing any better, because I was still I think I was 18, 19 years old.
Right.
And so somebody very big, just like, you'll never get anywhere in this business doing impressions, doing sound likes for other people. You're $10,000 to $15,000 away from ever booking your first gig. It's going to be 10 to 15 years before you book anything. Like, really harsh
Ooh.
stuff.
Right.
And I'm not going to say who it was, but this is a guy who was well known for doing sound likes for other actors
Right.
that are no longer here,
That
or
would
that,
explain it, yeah.
And I was like, well, at the time though, I'm a kid. I'm like, what the frick? And so I just jumped in anyway. I'm like, I'm going to freaking show this guy I can do this. And he's not wrong. He's just not completely right either. There is no room in voiceover, the profession, for doing sound alikes and doing impressions. At least in social media, there's a huge room for that, because it's become its own genre of people doing impressions.
Right. But
and some of them are
there.
Yeah, and some of them have actually made it all the way to Brian Hull. Brian Hull's got all the way up to Hotel Transylvania 4 being like one of the main characters. Adam Sandler's sound alike. And so I'm not saying it's not a route. I'm just saying it's a route that very few take and succeed very much. It's usually this person has 2 million followers on social media, we should hire them to do this thing. But they're not, their full-time career is not voiceover. They're having to put a lot out on social media just to maintain that. That kind of stuff is fine, but I'll give you a perfect example. When I get online and I read, Baby Got Back, but in Winnie the Pooh's voice. Oh, bother. My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon. That's funny. That's TikTok worthy. But in voiceover, there's very few people that they're going to call when they made the Winnie the Pooh movie, besides Jim, to do Winnie the Pooh's voice. And that sounds so much like the original that no one knows it's not Jim.
Right.
And that's the difference between, they couldn't get a hold of Jim.
Right.
And they also need to want someone to do Ewan McGregor's voice. And I happen to do both. So I filled in for Ewan and for Pooh for the trailers.
Right.
And that's a full-time scale job paid that nobody will even know about unless they actually heard the spot and be like, I made that, most people would not hear the difference.
Right.
And then they hire for the final spot, they'll get Jim and Ewan to come in and do their own, or maybe if it's expedient, they'll leave mine in, but there's usually no residuals for that kind of work. But it's something where that ability to sound like someone else to the point where people can't tell the difference has turned into a paying career. But now, I'm curious, because this is a hardware software show. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on AI, because I've seen a lot of crazy, interesting stuff with AI voiceover and with deepfake technology, where ADR and Loop Group is gonna be,
Gonna get wiped out.
yeah, it could be. Because the AI voices are okay enough where some things you could fill in where you wouldn't need somebody to do it.
Yeah, revoicer.
And they don't need anybody to reshoot anything. They can literally have the actor come in, say a new line, and they can make their face say those original words and edit it.
Right.
So all these two things are going to be harmful towards my career. Loop groups and ADR, all that stuff where it's like, we need this stuff this fast. If they have software that can do that, what's the point of hiring somebody, no matter how good they are?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Respeecher has like an actual ADR mixer talking about how she's using Respeecher to fix the voices on stuff, so she doesn't have to bring the actors in.
Yep,
it's good enough.
Yeah, and most people,
just
most studios, if it's good enough, why spend $800 when they could do it for free?
Right.
The thing is though, with AI, you still have to have a pilot
Yeah.
right? No matter how AI the thing is, you still have to have somebody that knows how to drive it and
Mhm.
program it. Just like drums, right? When electronic drums came out, they were stupid and terrible, right? They were just all they could do was
Yep.
techno, right? But now you can hire a drum programmer who can do very impressive drums, but you have to know how to program those drums, and it's actually difficult. So AI voice, I look at it the same way. Like if you want really high quality AI voice, you're gonna have to get a really high quality, AI voice programmer.
Right.
By the time you do that, maybe you could have just hired the actor, because then they can just bang out those lines like
much
that.
quicker too.
So there's
I
two
think
sides
what's
to
going to
it.
happen is that they're going to use that technology to eliminate the scratch tracks,
Sure.
No.
because then you won't need to hire somebody like me
Right.
to do the temp stuff. They'll still hire the final actor for whatever, but they won't need anybody to do. They'll just need something that's kind of basic. But most of them still, especially with animated movies, there's been a few that I've worked on where they don't have anything made yet. It's all just audio,
Right.
and they're still just storyboards at that point.
Right.
And they'd rather have the actors come in because AI cannot match that level of improv, and
Exactly.
it just can't think
That's
that quickly. It can
improv
just
is-
write out what you can say,
Right.
but you never know. But you run through something 2 or 3 times, you get something funnier and different each time.
Yeah.
AI just can't compete with that.
No,
I was just curious to bring it up.
Yeah. Well, no.
Sure.
There's no emotion. There's.
No.
I mean, they can.
It all kind of sounds basically the same. It sounds like a person. It just,
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're going to put emotion in it, that means another model or another thing you have
Right.
to program into the system
Yep.
to give it the emotion, which means it's not authentic because it's just one version of that emotion, and it can't respond as
Mhm.
quickly. There's no doubt it's going to be used, and it already is being used all the time on YouTube and
Oh yeah,
Instagram.
there's a
Right.
fake
We
one out
already
there
know-
of me.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's pretty
geez.
bad though.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Mr. Puzzles? It's pretty horrible. On the floor below you are saw chairs. They had AI write this horror movie, and I can't really get mad at it because all the voices in it are AI voices, but the story is ridiculously funny. It's like they just fed it like 50 horror movies,
Yeah.
But at least it's like
and then did all the and let AI, and then the animations like Shrek 2000 level. So I mean, it's horrible and it's not me, but kudos because it's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. So, but it will be good for fixing things.
Yeah.
You know, if they're still going to use the live actors to do it and they're not available,
Yeah.
or they need to fix something really quick, then yeah, they can use AI to do that. But
I feel like it's going to cause people like me to have to make more competitive rates to compete with software.
right.
Yeah.
Well, what are you planning on doing to get ahead of this? Because I think that's, if you see the
It's hard
future,
to say. I don't know what else I can do except just be so good at my job that I'm indispensable. Just be the
Yeah.
go-to guy that can do it so much faster and it sounds better.
right?
Or know the people who do. I'm actually talking because I can't remember who it is off the top of my head now. I'm gonna hate this later. But a friend of mine it was Holly Fields was
Okay.
talking about doing I don't know if you know her from JAG, and she's Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz's sound alike. Her face
Oh.
can physically transform into Drew Barrymore when she does the voice.
Wow.
She's basically retired at this point, but she had talked about doing their own like loop group thing. And I like the idea of like why hire an outside company, just have a people that a group of people that already do ADR
Right.
and do it really, really well, and just cut through all the who can I cast, and we're just like a
Yeah.
group that does all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the list of all the actors you can, if you need, or the crowd, material. I mean, we already loop, so we already know the rules. We already know how to do it quickly and easily. And there's so many rules. If you ever have a chance to, if you're a voiceover or interested in voiceover, take Johnny Gidcomb's class. Johnny Gidcomb is the best ADR teacher out there. She's actually the one that recommended him to me. And he works on big films for Marvel and Fox and some of the biggest stuff out there. And it's really well done. And if you don't know what it is, you should look up Hugh Jackman Logan ADR. It is worth a Google, as Zach Galifianakis would say. Except he'd say it's worth the Google. He runs through that whole fight scene and he does the whole thing. He gets physical, but just physical enough where it works for the audio.
Right.
And does it. He gives 110%, and it's insane to watch.
Oh.
And when people say like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Watch this video." I do this, but not quite as good as he does.
Yeah. If you are just joining us, you've missed a lot already. Our guest is John Bailey, who is epic voice guy, because he is an epic voice
The guy of epic voices is what I've been.
guy of epic
Yeah.
voices. Oh, okay.
That's too long.
All right.
See, the whole brand thing started with Honest Trailers having the disclaimer at the end, give us something in the comments for our epic movie trailer voice guy to say, or epic movie trailer voice to say. And I was like, I need to take that and kind of condense it down.
Right.
And I was like, epic voice man, and somebody recommended, how about epic voice guy? I'm like, all right, cool, epic voice guy, and it's kind of caught on at that point.
Right.
But then it became almost synonymous with, aren't you Honest Trailers guy, or aren't you the guy that works for Honest, or aren't you from Honest Trailer? I was like, I don't like these prepositions.
Right.
Very prepositionalist. I was like, I don't want to be known for just the one thing that I do. I mean, my career expands everything from cartoon to anime to toys to sound-alikes for A-list celebrities, and yet I'm getting typecast, or only people only know me for this one thing. So I was like, how can I spin this around where people are like, oh, this is a guy who does voices. Like,
Right.
so this is a guy. I'm a guy who does epic, and a guy who does epic voices. There you
Right. Are you still doing trailers?
go. Yeah, so I'm actually working on Dungeons and Dragons right now.
Excellent.
That's pretty cool. But you don't get a lot of those trailers. But people, this is a question you probably get a lot. Is there a lot of voiceover still in trailer work? Because people don't hear it, but
Right.
they don't ever think about where they don't hear it. They only don't hear it in the movie theaters.
Right.
And not in every single trailer. If you pay attention, there's a pattern. You will hear voiceover in kids movies, and you'll hear voiceover in comedy. You'll still, and if you anything else, you'll probably hear the title or the rating at the end, and that's it. Yeah, Friday at 7. No, that's promo. It's like this Friday in theaters, rated R. You know, that'll be the only part you'll hear the voiceover on.
Right.
But what they're not thinking about is every time there's radio, Spotify. There's like how many different versions of Spotify something out there
Right.
where it's a music app. They still do ads on those and online, the pre-roll ads for YouTube.
So if you're a
stuff on
voice on a
TikTok,
trailer
Twitter.
campaign, you can be the voice.
Yeah,
on all those
you could
different
literally book
platforms.
each individual platform.
Yeah.
Either they will do a buyout and be like, we're doing all the this is for all online use, or they'll be like specifically this trailer is for Twitter, this trailer is for TikTok, this trailer is for Instagram. But if your voice gets on one of those, there's a lot of money still to be made that way.
Right.
This is the example I always use. When Iron Man first came out, Ashton Smith booked it, and Ashton Smith's easy to spot because Ashton Smith does this thing at the end of his sentences, and he's fully aware of it, that he goes down at the end of every sentence. And he booked the Iron Man commercial or the trailer, and it also included a national car campaign because of Tony Stark's car,
Oh.
and a Snickers campaign, and
Nice.
a Dr. Pepper campaign, and a Taco Bell campaign, and a McDonald's Happy Meal campaign. All those things all came in. They used the same trailer guy for every single one. You're talking about national spots with residuals plus dozens of trailers across several different platforms. That's a massive amount of money. I've booked a few campaigns like that, even small ones on movies that you wouldn't, like Smurfs 2, you wouldn't think that was that big. I did 27 spots for that.
Whoa.
For Hotel Transylvania, I did 56 something spots. And that was ADR, but it was the same rate as trailer.
Right.
And it's like, there's a lot out there. You just don't know
Yeah.
because you don't see, not everybody hears it in the same place. They're like, oh, I heard this at one place. Or they go to the theater and like, I didn't hear any trailer voices. Those guys don't have any job.
Right.
Well, there's clearly a lot of stuff being pumped out of Hollywood, and it all has to be
Yeah.
promoted that way.
And then there's all these people that are doing ripoff versions that they'll hear something on a trailer ish and they'll get
Yeah.
like, we need a guy that sounds kind of like that. And you'll go to the movie theater before the thing starts. It's like one M&M. You know, it's like
Right.
all the little things before the actual trailer start.
Yeah.
They're still using the trailer voice.
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
Yeah. If you've got a question for John, now would be a great time to ask it because he loves to answer questions.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I have children, so I love answering questions.
Throw in the chat room right now, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube Live. And Jeff Holman, who is sitting right over here, I can almost kick him from here. Will
Not without knocking 1,000 cords and microphones down.
Yeah,
Taking the show offline.
that's why I said almost. Anyway, if you got a question, throw it in the chat room because we'll get to your questions in the next segment.
Well, all that trailer parody stuff turned you into this parody trailer voice guy,
Right.
which then turned you
Yeah.
into this parody trailer voice guy in a commercial.
Which is it's weird how it works
How the hell
because
did that happen?
when I first started with them, I didn't quite get the concept. I thought that they were trying to trick people into thinking this was the real trailer for the movie. Like they just pulled up some old trailer.
Right.
And then after a few seconds, you realize, oh, they're actually, poking fun at all the obvious plot holes or whatever it is. And then after the first one, they're like, it sounds too much like a real trailer. I'm like, oh, I get it. I'm making fun. I'm making fun of my own self.
Right.
I'm not doing a real trailer. I'm making fun of my own trailer voice.
So what are you working on? I mean, what's your day like? You were saying your voice is worn out. I mean, you're
Yeah, well,
what kind of hours you working?
You guys get the news first. How I don't know if you're going to call it news or not since it's under non-disclosure agreement. But after 15 years from my very first booking, I finally booked a recurring character in a network animated series. I'm extremely
Cool.
proud of that.
Wow.
Excellent.
I'm working for them every week. I'm also working for Marvel and for Disney now for multiple projects, which is a really cool. Marvel freaking really cool to work with.
Great studio. They got their act together.
Yeah, it was. I wish I could tell you how cool it was. And still doing dubbing, still doing trailers. I did the voice for a toy recently, which was really, really cool. I wish I could say what it was, but I don't know when it's going to be out. All I know is I will be buying multiple of them myself. And I haven't booked a toy voice in a really long time, so that's pretty cool. That was actually one of my very first gigs 15 years ago. I was doing the voice for
Really?
It didn't come out for like 3 or 4 years, but yeah, there was a few
wow.
Star Wars toys.
Yeah, it was fun to go.
My mom actually found one in
Yeah.
freaking Goodwill or something and bought it for me. Like, oh, you found one.
Hey, and there's my voice in there.
That's something my dad would do. It was only $3.
It was still in box though. It wasn't mint.
Oh wow.
It wasn't MISB.
Okay.
But
All right. Not collectible.
all these nerds are like, mint still box in front of us.
Get open the box.
Yes. I mean, that's I think it's really important in a career if you can put yourself in a lot of different
Yeah.
places and a lot of different genres. I mean,
I
you're
feel
talking,
like you have to in order
Yeah.
to survive. One man.
To be flexible.
You
Yeah.
have to be good at more than one thing or be the very best at one thing in order to be able to make enough money without any other career or side gig or whatever.
Right.
I mean, my social media has blown up since my personal life has changed. My career has also blown up. But
Mm.
I'm not seeing that those numbers translate into money.
Yeah.
You know, I have videos that are in the 11 million range, 2 or 3 of them now.
haven't monetized.
And they're monetized. There's just no money coming. Like I'm looking at like, oh, your estimated value is $1,200, and I'm looking at this like you've paid 38 cents. I'm like, okay, is
Bonkers.
there some kind of fee for being viral? Like,
Is that on YouTube?
that's on TikTok and
Oh,
on
TikTok.
Instagram.
Oh,
I have
TikTok,
several
yeah.
of them on both of those.
Yeah, TikTok's going to go, I think, the way of
Well,
the
TikTok
dodo
is,
and
they're not paying their talent. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I mean, no, there's some people on there that have figured out how to do it and they're making really good money at it. It's just not me.
They're not making it on
I
TikTok.
mean, my girlfriend's over there kind of like looking around there like, not me. But yeah, she's got a fraction of my followers. It's still amazing though. She's in the 50K range and she's making more money than I am with the 740, I think today when I checked, 740K, and I'm making pennies.
You have to use it.
I just don't know what I don't know what I'm doing
You
wrong.
have to just use it. It's only for marketing.
It really is. It really is just to like let people know that I exist. I
Yeah.
feel like that data, those numbers look good for
Yeah.
potential like clients that, you know, oh, this guy's got well known and so
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll go somewhere. Like we went to Universal Studios a couple of days ago and some guy with a mask that I have no idea is like, I feel like I know you. I worked with you or something before. And then she's like, Epic Voice Guy's like, oh, I do know that guy. I'm like, crap.
Once again, we're talking with John Bailey, who does everything apparently.
I'm a Swiss Army knife, man. You have to be.
And
All right.
on-camera commercials.
Yeah.
Very rarely. My agent thought that just because I booked a couple, they're like, we're going to be your on-camera talent. I'm like, yeah, okay, no.
Well, I remember the Toyota commercial you did.
Mitsubishi
Some Japanese
Yeah,
model.
it's-
I was gonna say Honda.
gets off.
We all remember
If
the
we did a
brand.
John Bailey
That was
trivia
really
game, you
effective.
guys would be failing so hard. I forgot my birthday. I was in a Hyundai Toyota commercial. Apparently.
It was the most forgettable branding campaign ever.
Well, it was like 2018 though, so it's been a few years.
I remember the campaign well. I just don't remember what car it was for.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But it was fun.
Cross. I still remember.
Anyway,
was
we'll talk
great.
about that and a few other things, along with your questions, if you just throw them in the chat room right now, and we will get to those right after this important message from all of our wonderful sponsors. So don't go away. We'll be right back with John Bailey.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying Voiceover Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
Have you noticed the increasing demands of clients regarding our home studios? Are they at a professional level to record via over broadcast? I've seen several now demanding cardioid condenser microphones along with AD converters at 24-bit 441K. Now that eliminates the majority of USB microphones. The VO1A and the MicPort Pro solve that problem. You know how I'm always saying that all the equipment we use is designed for making music? The VO1A Harlan Hogan Signature Series Studio Condenser Mic is tailored to the unique needs of voiceover recording. And the MicPort Pro 3 from Centrance has been the industry standard audio interface for over a decade, at home and on the road. The new MicPort Pro 3 brings incredible features like the new mic preamp with 65 dB of crystal clear gain, USB-C jacks with adapter for compatibility with standard USB ports, and a stunning headphone amplifier with a super convenient gain switch. You can get them both at voiceoveressentials.com, where you'll see all their great products made just for us VO people.
It's time to talk about Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect and Source Nexus, which is really getting a lot more attention lately. What the heck is Source Nexus anyway? I'm supposed to remain professional as I'm fondled by my guest. Source Connect and Source Elements, these are the tools that are being used in so many pro studios because of workflow. Everybody loves workflow, don't they? Don't you love that buzzword? Well, that is really a big part of why it's such a very well-loved tool in all the best and top commercial studios. But what Source Nexus does, we've already talked about Source Connect 1,000 times. Source Nexus is the glue that connects different systems into one studio, right? It used to be everything was a rack of boxes, right? You had an ISDN box and a phone patch box, maybe another ISDN box. You'd have all these racks of gear. That's the old days. Everything now is in the box. It's all software, and you need a way to tie everything together and bring it into your DAW. In this case, it's Pro Tools. So that's why Source Nexus is so critical. You might want to check it out. Even if you're a voice actor, the ability to route audio in and out of things and playback and do loops and all this stuff is very handy. Anyway, if you want to get set up, go over to source-elements.com. You can get a 15-day free trial of really everything they make and give them a try and see what works best for you. They have the best service in the business, and we love them. Thanks for the support, Source Elements. Let's move on so we can get to more crazy questions with John Bailey.
Hey there, I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th, and with my company VO Heroes and my team of coaches and my community of voiceover talent, we guide voiceover actors along their journey. And you may be watching VOBS here and not nearly as far along as many of the other people who are watching. You may not even have started yet. And we actually specialize in helping you do just that. So if you're watching all the stuff going on here on VOBS and going, I have no idea what they're talking about, I don't know, but I really want to do this, I'd really like to help you. Please go to voheroes.com/start. That's voheroes.com/start. And you can take our Getting Started in Voiceover class, which tells you everything you need to get started as a voice talent. And I'd love to hold your hand along the way and help you with that journey. Again, voheroes.com/start. That's voheroes.com/start.
You're still watching VOBS?
And we are back. Are we back?
We sure are.
And we're also front. We've got John Bailey with us tonight, and we are talking about what it really takes to succeed here in La La Land, which is everybody wants to come to Hollywood. And
you're gonna make us sink into the ocean. Go away.
Actually, the stats
Or the rain is like already thickened up I feel like it's just ready to fall in now.
The stats would say the opposite. Actually, people have been leaving California in droves. So
yeah. It's
not
fascinating.
It makes us lighter or more buoyant then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I keep getting all these calls from my friends in Buffalo saying, you're snowed in LA. I'm like, no.
Yeah, those 3 or 4 flakes kept me from getting out of my driveway. They don't know what a valley is. It's fine.
That's right. Absolutely. Once again, if you got a question for John Bailey about anything at all.
No, that's not anything at all. That's really
how you
open
got
for
him
some
going.
really bad questions.
Throw them in the chat room right now. We'll get to those questions in a
7
second.
inches. My microphone is 7 inches long.
I'm glad you filled in the rest.
Yeah.
I already planned to.
Without even being asked. All righty. Got the first question is from Glenn Lindner. Mr. Whittam, you have the honors.
Yes, Glenn Linder says, want to know, I can't say the first word in the sentence, want to know the proper protocol for marketing as well as getting representation. Exclamation point.
If only we all knew.
Boy, that's a one-T
You guys
question.
don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody's very one-T.
They don't even know. Well, you can purchase coaching from John. Just kidding. That's there's no specific way to do something. My best advice that I give when I do coach, which you can buy right now, and I give you a lot more details about what I'm going to say, is to just kind of have your brand be the same across the board. Whatever you have, if it's for example, if it's VOBS, if it's VOBS, you have VOBS.com, you have @VOBS on platform. Everything is @VOBS. Don't make it @VOBS 34723 and make sure that your profile picture is the same on every single page. Make sure that your demos are done. Your resume is done. Your site looks like you've done, like it, make it look like you are a professional voice actor, because you're not going to get hired if you don't. If you have a website that looks like it was made by a 5th grader and it has one demo on it and it's a character demo, people are not most likely not going to hire you unless you're willing to do some things that you may not be proud of later. So I suggest having a commercial demo, having a character demo, and making sure that it sounds like you know what you're doing and it looks like you know what you're doing. Even if you don't have that many followers, if you have that brand down, the profile picture looks the same, people know how to find you very, very simply and easily. That is the foundation for what was the word he used again?
Protocol.
For the protocol of getting yourself out there. As far as getting representation, there's a lot of people that don't even have representation that do fine. Representation is a matter of choice, not necessarily necessity. A good example, Bob and September Carter. I know you guys know them, right? Over in Atlanta. September has made her whole living off of voice123.com without even needing representation. She's doing that herself and making very good money at it, booking some very big jobs, very big games, big movies, big TV shows. And you don't have to have representation. If you think you need it, maybe you're not ready.
That's a good point.
I didn't even know I needed an agent at first. I did whatever was thrown my way. And every time an opportunity came my way, if it didn't, violate how I personally felt or just seemed scammy or whatever, I would be like, sure, I'll give it a shot. And if it didn't work out, then I learned my lesson. Right. If it did work out, and it just led to big break after big break. But then my first manager, which I didn't even know most voice actors don't have a manager. So like I said, there's multiple ways that people get represented. So I had a manager second. I was kind of self-represented at first, manager second, and then an agent. So, and then from that agent became agents plural outside of, around the country.
So when did you fire a manager?
I've never fired a manager before. I switched managers. He actually recommended me to my current one.
Oh, okay.
Because he wasn't a manager himself. Like, that was not his job.
Right.
He was a trailer company.
Right.
So he just heard talent and he's like, I think we could work with you. I think you could work with our producer.
Sure.
And just kind of nail down that epic voice guy voice. That's not Don LaFontaine or Ashton Smith. That's like my own version,
Yeah.
And that's that first year I was at that. That's basically what he did. But he had his own business to run, and he knew that he couldn't really manage my career the way it needed to be managed and run his company. So he found the best in the business.
That's good.
And that's what I have now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So in other words, it's a job.
Yeah. It's almost like it's a career or something.
I mean, the voicing stuff, that's the fun stuff that we get to do. But the actual finding of work is really where you've got to put all the effort in, because once you're inside the booth, you know who you are and what you're going to
do. And there's so many options now for getting work online without an agent. It's just
right.
A lot of people think that they have to have that because they just don't know any better. They just think, I have to go in. And I don't know if I should even have to say it, but there's this wonderful website called I want to be a voiceactor.com. I feel like every one of your shows should be say, before you ask any questions, check out I want to be a voiceactor.com.
Literally,
because D. Bradley Baker did all the work for us already.
It's literally the FAQ of voiceover.
It really is.
Right.
It's all one place. It really is.
Yeah. Are you ready? And you were ready, and you came.
I was a good amateur at first. I knew kind of what I was doing, but I did not polish it and perfect it until time and getting coaching. I used to laugh at people that were like, you need coaching. I'm like, I'm doing fine without coaching. I don't need other people telling me crap I can find out on the internet for free. Yeah. But then I found out that there's more than one reason to get coaching, and you can find out those reasons by hiring me for voiceover coaching.
Well, all right. Well, for example,
Daddy's got to pay for his new Lamborghini.
One example of what a coach did that changed the way you did something.
I'll give a good one. You've got an example on your wall over here. Debbie Derryberry gave me she had me come along. I wasn't participating in the coaching session. I was just there as an observer at Ann Goose's place, way out far. I don't drive that far because it's just good grief.
Sand Canyon.
I know. Another country is where it feels like. And she let me audit, and I learned about pre and post life, and I just never heard of that before. I'd been doing a little bit of it just naturally with some of the things I was just doing automatically, which is I started understanding when people was like, you have natural ability, you have natural talent. I was doing some things, I just didn't know what they were called. And then once I knew about it, it's like, oh, now I can actually consciously make sure that that's part of how I do my auditions and how
So it's important to put the terminology with it.
Yeah. And then actually have some examples. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about, the fact that post life and pre life sometimes you can do both. Sometimes you can do one or the other. The fact that you can use improv and ignore punctuation. There's a lot of things that you can do to change up how you think about doing something because you don't have the job yet, and it took me a long time to, even when I got the job, to be like, can I just try something? Can I just do something that came up on my, and Disney and Marvel are just like, this, the last session I went to Marvel, they're like, John, we really don't need to even give you direction. Just do your thing. Just at that point, like, we're all going to lunch early, guys. There's John Bailey's here. So yeah, you have to get to that point where you're that good. And a lot of people don't understand that just because they take one coaching class or one or two coaching classes, they're ready. That you can't learn everything in one or two sessions because the business is always changing. And sometimes you need to get in front of the right people, find the coaches that also are casting directors, because they're going to know what it is that you need to be doing in order to be cast. And it's not going to be, I can do funny voices, or I have a great voice, so I should be a voice actor. I hear that at least 1 to 3 times a day, sometimes a dozen times a day.
Sure.
I literally did a coaching session yesterday. I did this little 10 minutes of AMA, Ask Me Anything, on Fiverr for $5, because most people they don't have my kind of coaching, requirements, because my time, like,
right.
I've already lost at least $3,000 just being here for an hour. So,
Well, we appreciate it.
it's okay. They're going to reimburse me.
And the check balance.
The check balance. And I was telling him the exact same thing. I was like, you have to, like, anyway, you get the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, people just don't know this stuff, and they just assume. Yeah.
I mean, people
like,
send us.
I have a good voice, or like, who said that?
Yeah.
And why did you believe them?
people send us sound checks or
yeah.
specimen collection cup.
Yeah.
And I hear these files, and I know exactly in that group who has coaches and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Like,
you can hear that. You can tell natural ability. You can tell there's natural talent, but you can tell somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a lot of great information I could give you, but I cannot give it to you for free, because it took me 15 years to learn it. So you will have to hire me as a coach in order to learn all the things I can teach you. The secrets on how to get booked.
That's why we all sell the services that we have.
Yeah.
We've spent many years accumulating knowledge.
We spent years stealing this information from other coaches so we could sell it for ourselves.
No, you've
and repackage it with our own name and brand on it. Change the words around. We're gonna have a circular temperature vortex in there.
Did you drink a truth serum before you came over here?
I'm always freaking truthful.
I know. You
guys don't. That's part of the problem though with voiceover coaching is
candid.
Most people are not blunt, and they need Charlie Adler coaches. They need people who will rip the Band-Aid off and not tell them what they want to hear, because you're giving people false hope when you tell people like, oh, all you need to do is do more coaching.
Yeah.
Well, that might be true, but you need to tell them why, and you need to tell them what they are good at and what they are bad at, and not worry about telling them what they are bad at. I've heard people say like, well, if they're not any good, I was like, why don't you try to be a plumber? I know that's not true, because I've heard those same people say, oh, what you really need is my advanced class, and it's only $1,000. So just you can teach people what to do, and if people just don't have that knack, there's the way to tell people that they can't. You know, I'll never forget. Alex Weitzman from Charlie Adler's group.
Yep.
He had a guy that was on the spectrum come in, and he was just not improving. You could tell like he had a great voice, but I only foresaw that guy getting cast as that one particular character. Like that was the voice he could do. He did not have the range to change that and do anything else.
Right.
Does that mean he'll never do a voiceover? Absolutely not. I think that anybody that wants to, that has the drive and the determination to keep going at it, eventually he could be. I mean, how many celebrities are just specifically for the way that they sound? Kristen Shaw is a perfect example. She's in Gravity Falls. She's in Bob's Burgers. She has that specific voice that's it's distinguishable from all their voices, and nobody can ever really do it. And that's just how she sounds. So there is a place for that person out there, but some people think that, they can do it all. Well, maybe you're just good at one thing. Maybe you just haven't found that yet. That's why you need to try coaching, because there's coaches for every single thing in the industry. Maybe you just need to find your niche, but don't quit and give up unless you just are told by multiple professionals, hey, this is just not something you're good at. Try something else. Right. Because if you're banging your head against a wall for years and years and years and nothing happens, then you're probably not making any progress, which means it may just not be something that you can do. I do think it does have. I do think it's required to have some skill at it, like just to have some natural talent to it. But I think it's a skill that anybody can learn if they know the techniques and that's something that they can emulate when they're taught it. Then you have a shot at this. You just have to find a way to make it your own, be unique, or do it better than everybody else does. And sometimes that's a very difficult thing, which is why only those people at the very, very top, that little tiny circle, book so much, because they have learned how to get to that point to be the very best or be the most unique at something. And then once people, the people who are making things or casting for things, they know that they're good. They don't even need to audition. They know who they want.
Right.
It's like this small list of people. I freaking want those folks. That's
Exactly.
exactly what Kevin Smith did with He-Man. He's like, I don't even need to guess. I just give me everybody that was from Batman the Animated Series and we're good to go.
All right. We got a question from our own Jeff Holman. Jeff, you have the floor.
Hey, what does that awesome moniker on your cool hat mean again?
This is the Mad Brand Co. This is the M and the B. And they do this really cool logo. And this is called the Epic hat that my girlfriend ordered for me for my birthday. It's got my favorite color on it. And it kind of goes with everything. So that is pretty cool. They have all kind of cool hats. I'm still waiting for them to make me a non-snapback because I like the fitted stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like their logo. And they send these awesome hats in little wooden crates with a crowbar. You can open it up. I don't know. That's kind of, see, people like that. I feel like Indiana Jones looking for,
It's an
treasure.
unboxing experience.
Exactly.
It really is.
Now, you've been doing some stand-up.
Yeah, I've been doing stand-up for a minute.
Grace Newton's wondering, who did you coach with for comedy?
I didn't.
He's just like
Yeah, so these guys probably know because they're LA. Flappers has this offer where you can do a practice stand-up session in front of 2 or 3 people who do stand-up comedy professionally. So I was like, I'd been there a few times. I'd been to the Talking Tunes stuff, and I'd been to the other one with the We Talk Funny, and I performed there. And while I was there for one of those things, I was like, you know what? I want to sign up for one of these things. I want to sign up for the little coaching that, whatever. So I put my name and number on there, like, oh, hey, and then like a week or two went by, and they're like, oh, hey, we got an opening if you want to come do stand up on such and such a night. And I'm like, okay, cool. So
how do you prepare for that? I mean,
I didn't know. I never really done stand up before that first time. I'd hosted, I'd emceed, I had like hosted for like these nerd burlesque, cosplay contests, kind of whatever stuff, whatever the convention had me booked for. I had to like announce their ridiculous names or vote for. I had to be a judge. So I'd been on stage and I'd done a little. Sometimes, especially with cosplays, there's some complicated crap out there. So getting them on stage sometimes take a hot minute, and so I would like have to fill in some funny whatever stuff, and sometimes it would bomb horribly.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really doing stand-up. I was just bombing horribly.
Right.
So I kind of like found some funny stories that happened. They were real life stories that I kind of had polished over the years, and kind of just improv segues in between each story, and just kind of give it a shot. But I thought I was going to practice in front of 2 or 3 people, and then I'm out there with these other guys that I'd never seen before. So I'm assuming they're all brand new too, and they're like, oh, is this your first time doing it? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, man, that's cool. They all kind of seemed like, oh, really? Your first time? And I didn't think anything about it because I'm like, well, isn't it all your first time? And then I walk in the room and it's standing room only. There's like 70-something people in there and my body goes freaking numb. And
Did you flop sweat?
it was opposite of sweat. My body went cold. I got super pale. I felt my legs about to go. Thankfully, Flappers has somewhere to sit in every single one of their rooms. It's the only stand-up place that has places to sit down. So I literally just said, I was like, oh, you guys have kids. That's all it did. And the whole room just like cracked up laughing. I was like, okay, we're all right. And because the only reason why I sat down because I really thought I was going to pass out. So I just kind of, and I didn't know where they said to look for the red light. I didn't know where the red light was. I didn't know where to look. Apparently I'd gone way over. Finally saw somebody by the door, like waving me down. The room's pitch black.
Right.
And it was so funny because afterwards, everybody was like, oh, that's such a great set. I'm like, that was a set? And other people were like, when I told them, they're like, that was my very first time doing stand-up. A lot of people were like, really? Like, that's the first time doing this? And a lot of people didn't think I had never done it before. And I had I don't know if you know Erica Rhodes. She does the Sad Lemons, and she's from local here. I performed with her, and I'd seen her before because her uncle was Garrison Keeler, and he was in town. And if you don't know, show we used to listen to the radio, Prairie Home Companion, and an amazing voice too, which is one of the reasons why I knew him. And the sound guy from that show, I listened to him on Fisher Price or Reading Rainbow. He does all the sound effects with his mouth. Not Michael Winslow. He's a real white-haired guy. Anyway, so I was going to that, and somebody had brought me to see her show. And then when I saw that she was on the ticket, I'm like, oh, it's a professional comedian that she'd been on NBC. So I was like, hey, can you give me feedback tonight? Because it's only my 3rd time doing this. And I had tried something new it went horrible. I tried to do like audience interaction thing and tried to like come up and tell me what you do. And I tried to make a trailer out of it, and kind of like the pranks that we done, and it did not go well. The rest of it went fine, but that part was kind of like, all right.
Okay.
So I asked her afterwards. She's like, actually, if you just rearranged your stuff a little bit better, that was really good. I'm like, okay, well, that comes from a professional person that I know has done this for a living. So I didn't feel too bad, like I was doing horribly. And then it got kind of easy when I realized I couldn't, because that was the night I tried like memorizing setup, punchline, setup. I tried reading, and I can't do it that way. I know there's people that do that. It's like, you know what such and such is, such and such, ha ha ha. You know what such and such is, such and such, ha ha. I just can't. I have to just tell my freaking funny stories and find some funny segue to go in between whatever.
You're not Steve Martin.
No, he is one wild and crazy guy.
He rehearses everything. Everything's to the.
No, there's no rehearsal for me. I do that all blind, all completely raw up there. Whatever freaking. If it bombs, it bombs. If it doesn't, it's Jim Carrey style, really, without all the physical stuff involved. And I kind of just feel the room out too, because I feel like when you're doing stand-up comedy, it's not about your material, it's about what they're in the mood to laugh at.
Right.
And you can always tell when a crowd is a little more into the adult humor as opposed to whatever. And I try to keep it on the clean side, but I do have a censored version of 50 Shades of Winnie the Pooh. See, that's all I have to say. And people automatically start laughing.
Hot and bothered.
I say, well, you change out Christopher Robin with Christian Grey. And suddenly Christopher Robin's red balloon sprang free. Oh, bother. And I read the actual lines from the freaking book. And it's so bad. And Winnie the Pooh's voice is just so much funnier.
Yeah.
So just little weird stuff like that. But I try not to do things where, because I've seen voice actors or people that do voices when they do stand up, and it's like, I have to find a way to force voices into this.
Mm-hmm.
So they shoehorn them in, like, this reminds me of that one character that I do, and then I'm going to do it. Or this one guy, I can't remember what actor it was, but I've had more than one people show me this, where literally all he would do is say, and this voice actor is doing this, and then, or this character doing this, and he does that thing. Or this is what it sounds like when character X and character Y are doing it. And I'm like, this is the lowest hanging fruit. Like, this is the worst use of voices in comedy. I feel like it should come naturally, and if it doesn't come naturally, you don't do it.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes my comedy is just whatever pops in my head at the time. I tell this story about when I went to the Universal for the very first time. And I was hoping to ride the Harry Potter ride. I did not know that the Harry Potter ride was made in China for smaller people. It was literally fitted for Chinese children and not American adults. And at the time, I was
very tight.
280 pounds at the time, maybe something, 280, 290. And I went in the road. We waited through that line. I didn't have a fast pass. We waited in line for an hour and 15 minutes. And if you know the ride, I was to the Sorting Hat. That's how close I was to getting on the ride. It's right around the corner from there.
They don't have like the thing at the airline where you have to fit your carrying.
We're getting there.
That should be at the front of the line.
This tweenish looking young lady Karens me to the side. It's like, excuse me, sir, have you tried our test seat? I'm like, you have a test seat? I didn't. And so I went to the test seat, which is right there around right in front of the Sorting Hat. And literally the next corner is the ride. You get on at that point. And the light didn't go blue. And she's like, I'm sorry, sir. And she, like Game of Thrones, shames me back through the line, all the way back to the front entrance from there. Now, what you may not know if you don't live here is that there's a waiting room right there around the corner that I could have waited for my friend to ride the ride, and literally takes you back to the gift shop instead of walking all the way back through the Harry Potter line with her going, shame.
What the hell?
Shaming you with a wand?
It's felt that way. And then I lost like 60 something pounds, and I came back. And as I'm coming to the thing, there's a test seat right there in the front of the building. Yeah. But nice to know there was test seat there the whole entire time. I never noticed that before. Yeah. Would have been nice, wouldn't it? And the little thing that I just thought of about the fact that there was a test seat I didn't notice, and I just threw in a little bit of like, that'd have been nice to know the first time around.
By the way,
gave me a lot of embarrassment.
Next time you ride that ride, you can go into the locker room area and you can cut off. You know, that outside area where you wait in line outside. Yeah, you can cut off that whole thing. You just go into the locker room.
We have fast passes, so we just
you could do it that way.
Yeah, you can do that if you got that.
John, it is always a pleasure that when you're here. It's always good to see you.
Come back.
Awesome. Thank you.
All righty.
Peace.
Yeah.
Thanks for all
John
of
Bailey,
your
everybody.
questions.
Thanks for your energy.
Yeah. Anyway,
thank her. She gave me caffeine before I got it.
Oh, excellent. We'll be right back to wrap things up and rack it up for Tech Talk right after this. Don't go away.
Yeah, hi, this is Carlos Alazraqui, the voice of Rocco, and you're watching VoiceOver Body Shop.
We are the World Voices Organization,
also known as WOVO. We're the not-for-profit industry association of freelance voice talent. VoiceOver is a complex entrepreneurial business.
WOVO is there to promote the professional nature of voice work to the public, to those already established in their voiceover practice,
and to those who want to pursue voiceover as a career.
Membership benefits include
a supportive and creative community,
a profile and demos on voiceover.biz, our searchable directory of vetted professional voice talent,
our exclusive demo player for your personal website,
our mentoring program, business resources, and our video library,
our annual WovoCon conference, a fun and educational weekend with other members with the chance to learn and network,
webinars and great speakers, and weekly social chats with other members around the world.
If your world is voiceover,
make WOVO part of it. World Voices Organization.
We speak for those who speak for a living.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
This is Ariana Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
Back.
Way back.
John Bailey. What a guy.
Just pull string
and
let him go.
Great guy.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, next week on this very program, all you have to do is watch Tech Talk number 98.
That's right. 98's the next one.
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of great stuff to talk about, so stay tuned for that. You got a question, you can still ask your question if you got a tech question about your home voiceover studio. Now would be a good time to throw it in the chat room so Jeff Holman can get it to us before his next
I
big
feel
gig.
bad John didn't really properly get to plug his coaching.
No, not at all.
I mean, he kept teasing it, but he never really truly.
He's easy to find. I mean,
JonBailey. Just Google him.
Okay,
you'll find his coaching.
All right. So you're doing stuff on TikTok. You making any money with that?
No. No. In fact, I've lost momentum. I just the last month has been launching a new website.
Right.
You're very full aware of what that takes.
Right.
And debugging it and finding every little thing that drives me crazy about the new website.
Right.
All the things that you guys see pretty much were solidified quite a long time ago, right? It's all the back end stuff that I have to interact with that's been a work in progress, right? Like, I want a preference to do this. I want to be able to resort everything this way, So it's been a tremendous amount of little things, but it's coming together. It's been built by Skills Hub, and skillshub.life is the actual company. They're a coaching platform for voiceover, But they also built the platform that my new website at georgethe.tech runs on. And it's been an amazing learning experience. And we've got, I think, a much better place to be.
Great.
It's a more comfortable place to operate. It's easier for the actors to use. So come check it out. And if you want to get a deal, everybody wants a deal.
You're going to get a deal.
You go to GTT 2, the number 2, numeral 2, point, POINTOH, GTT 2.0. And that gets you 20% off on anything on the website until the end of March.
Cool. All right. Hey, there are people that donate to our show to make sure that it is technically magnificent.
Technically?
Yeah. Like we have, let's see, The Bristol Group, Grace Newton, Robert Leadham, Stephen Chandler, Casey Clack, Jonathan Grant, Tom Pinto, Greg Thomas, A Dr. Voice, Antland Productions, Martha Kahn, 949 Designs, Christopher Epperson, Sarah Borges, Philip Sapir, Brian Page, Patty Gibbons, Rob Ryder, or Raider, depending on where you are, Shauna Pennington Baird, Don Griffith, Trey Mosley. Trey, how you doing? Diana Birdsall, and Sandra Manuel. You got it. Finally, we're able to pull that up, and we need to thank our sponsors too, like Harlan Hogan's Voiceover Essentials,
Voiceover Extra,
Source Elements,
VOHeroes.com,
VoiceActor.com, and WorldVoices.org, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent, reminding you to go to WovoCon May 5th through 7th in Orlando.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, go to world-voices.org and learn all about it. Join the organization because it's a different type of voice conference. It's not like big commercial thing, but we'll talk more about it.
Cool.
All right. We also need to thank Jeff Holman, who just gets it done with all the questions from people calling in and writing in and typing in. And of course, driving herself nuts over there is Sue Merlino, my mouse died on her while she was doing it. And she's like, which mouse is going to work? You wouldn't even know it.
Nope, you wouldn't know from watching the show.
That's right. and of course, Lee Penny for being Lee Penny. Well, that's going to do it for this particular show. We're going to re-rack it for Tech Talk. Don't go away if you're watching us live. If you're watching this in replay, you didn't get the chance to ask your questions. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, this is not an easy business. Listen to John Bailey. It's hard work to get it done. But the bottom line is, if it sounds good,
it is good.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop,
or VOBS. Good night, everybody.
See ya.